Sports, when you've got a great ball club. Sports, when you're leaving it all on the field. Sports, when you like your team's chances. Sports, to survive and advance in sports. For the teams you love and the teams you love to hate. Oh, it's Sports Channel 8. Yeah. Sports Channel 8. Hey! Hey! Hey!
It is Sports Channel 8 streaming show. All up in your earwaves on a Wednesday morning. Still smack dab in the middle of the NCAA tournament. Nothing has really happened since our last show Monday. We may hit on some NCAA tournament themes. Got to catch up on the Canes. We've got trade deadline happening. And they're winning again. And of course, we will play the game show. The best Josh in North Carolina sports media will join us. Josh Graham. We'll see if Josh Goodson shows up. We'll talk to him about all things sports, Wake Forest, ECU, where he went to school. I don't know what the trivia categories will be. We'll find out then, and we will attempt to discern if Josh Goodson will be joining us. But here now, let me say hello to the Weather Moose, who looks like he's doing some work on the side over there. Didn't have time to adorn your horns with a pithy message today, unfortunately. Not even support for Ukraine. There we go.
No, yeah, my Ukraine flag fell off, buddy. But you know.
That was noticed by Ukrainians, so get that back up there. They were digging that. Brian Geisinger, who I must say, I saw this maybe a year ago of like a new hairstyle that was coming back in, and it was like the Caesar hairstyle, and I feel like you're rocking that now. I thought I was, and most of my friends like don't have hairlines but I'm mentioning this Swain flexing over there. Okay, Moose flexing over there. Where's Goodson when I need him? Where's my bald brother? But no, I've noticed this, and I almost said it on some other shows, but I was like, it's sort of off topic. But yes, rocking the Caesar haircut.
Yeah, I went into, and now we've got at Wake Forest. I feel like it's now the Jake LaRavia hairstyle.
Okay.
I feel like he plus the headband brought it. It was like, look, you can be good at basketball and have hair like this. It's possible. But no, I literally last fall went into Arrow here in Raleigh. It was showed them a photo of Oscar Isaac, the actor, and was like, just do this hair for me, actually.
All right, that's a good question. Have either of the other guys, have you ever taken a picture in and been like, I want this? Moose, don't lie. Moose, you did that in your teen years.
Well,
do not lie.
The backstory is a month before that, I had been at a wedding, and my hair was super duper long, and several of my friends there were like, dude, you have to get it cut. God. And so I promptly went out 20 days later and got it cut. But my friends Josie and Jackie, who had told me that I needed to get his haircut, were texting. They were the ones that gave me the photos and were like, ask for this hairstyle when you go into the barbershop.
That's good. All right, Moose, come clean.
Perm, when we made the trip to the big city and went to the Raffles haircut studio, sure. I definitely picked up the booklet with all the city-like gentlemen, and showed the lady in the chair, I want this one. And she goes, oh, honey, no. So I just let them do what they do. I sit down in a chair now, shut my mouth, and they keep pulling my hair backwards, though. I don't know if you've noticed, Perm. It keeps going away. I'll be like you soon, I think.
Yeah. Ben Swain is not on team bald, but I believe he is probably with me on team. I never really thought much about my hair. I just
I have it, and I'm not gonna play I enjoy a good manicure pedicure, right? It's a fun thing to do. I just have never thought about taking a photo into a barbershop to say, hey, do this. But I will tell a story of a similar time when I went. This is back when I was coaching soccer. We had a tournament in Charlotte, and my hair was to the point that BG just said, everybody was like, dude, you got to go get a haircut. The only place that I could find to get a haircut was a black barbershop. And so I went in there, and they handed me the card that has the 1 through 30 hairstyles. Yep. And it's all black dudes, right? Like there's not one single white haircut on there. And I just like looked at the guy and I was like, can you just trim? He's like, yeah, we got you. And while he's cutting it, he's like, is this the first time I ever cut a white boy's hair? And but he did a great job. Great. I wish I could remember the name of it. I would shout it out, but it was many years ago. But that's the only time that I've ever been handed the card and said, pick which number, like a food menu.
Yes.
But yeah, that was a new experience.
I noticed that. I think I went to a black barbershop for the first time when I got to the point where, like, obviously all I need is just like put a certain guard on it and take it down. And so I noticed the same book. I was like, wow, I never even knew this was like segregation. Churches and barbershops are like the two places where we're like, you know what? It's okay to be segregated. Everybody just seems to be fine with that. And it works out. BG's looking at me funny. But yeah, barbershops especially, I feel like it's like
also basketball teams in Iowa.
Yes. All right, let's do hit on some sports that happened last night. Again, we could talk some NCAA tournament if you have topics you want to hit, but this wants to talk officiating, I see. But the Carolina Hurricanes haven't come up in a couple of weeks in the show. But last night they got a win. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I did see this happening after the game, and I need an explanation. This is the Canes doing the usual go hug your goalie after the win, but then here's what it turned into. Whoa! That's basically the gist of it. The Lightning just hung around. The goalies are hanging in the back, being like, we're not going to fight. It had a very baseball-esque quality to it, where like everybody feels like they got to run out, but everybody knows nobody's fighting. Whereas hockey, it's usually more about, hey, if two guys are going to get down, let's just let them get down. And like, but let's get into it. None of this like dancing. Like the two guys are going to fight. Swain, explain to me what was happening there last night.
Yeah, so a couple of things happened. But what led to that incident was Canes were up 3-1, played an outstanding game, absolutely just demolished Tampa last night. And Tampa got an extra attacker goal on there was a matching penalty that there was no penalty there, but the referee was just like, look, you're going to the box and you're going to the box. But it made it a 5-on-4 instead of a 6-on-5, which is kind of a big deal when you have the extra attacker. So Tampa scored on that to make it 3-2 with about a minute left. 30 seconds later, Canes are getting the puck out of the zone. Kucherov steps up, and it's the most like obvious interference call in the world. And interference is when you hit a player that doesn't have the puck, right? So Aho's skating out of the zone. Kucherov comes up and hits him. Gets called for the penalty, so he goes to the box, and that kills any advantage that Tampa has, right? And so, like, the face-off goes down in the other zone, and it pretty much ended the game. So he was complaining about the call and mad about the call, so he went to the penalty box. Canes kill off the rest of the game. He comes out of the penalty box and goes after Aho.
And hold on, Swain, real quickly. You said Kucherov is the one who committed interference, right?
Correct.
Where's Kucherov from? Is this I just want to.
Is this a safe place to answer that question?
Is he invading a sovereign Sebastian Aho?
I wanted like a Russian interference joke, I guess is what I was going for there.
Yeah, it was definitely that.
Yeah.
So then like he goes after Aho. Aho has the best. I want to submit this as the best possible chirp that you can give anyone in any sport. So there's a close up of Aho chirping Kucherov after it, right? And I won't use the expletives that are in there, but he says, "You're so stupid. You're an idiot. You're so stupid." That is the best chirp because it's like on such a direct level. It's like there's no humor involved in it. You're literally calling him stupid, and you can't come back from that. So Kucherov went after Aho, and then the teams kind of like converged there at the end. I was hoping that it was going to be the most intricately planned storm surge There's Aho laughing at Kucherov.
I don't get the stupid, but that's him just sort of laughing at him. And
the stupid happened well before that. That was before the teams came together. That's like why the teams came together. But yeah, he's laughing at Kucherov there. I was really hoping that the teams would be there, right? Because Canes win. They do a storm surge. They haven't done the fun ones in a while. It's just like the circle up and clap. I was hoping that the teams were going to be there. You would hear the glass shattering, and then Max Domi comes out of the tunnel and starts hitting everybody with stunners. That's what I was hoping for. It would have been the best storm surge in the history of storm surges, but it didn't work out that way.
What if they did, dude? If they, we could talk about the storm surge in general. Maybe we'll in a second. But what if they roped in another team to be part of the storm surge? Like, hey, there's not going to be any actual fighting, but you guys mind, like,
Don Cherry's head would explode if that.
You guys mind just milling around a little bit afterwards because it'll just make it more fun when our guy comes.
Especially two Southern teams, like that, just in the NHL right there entirely.
Yeah, what Tommy comes in just breaking things and hitting everybody. I was going to say one of the. Is it time to say goodbye to the storm surge? How do we feel about the storm surge these days? I'll start with you.
I mean, I loved it when it was like, let's plan these crazy things. But it was going to get to a point where it was going to like totally jump the shark and they weren't going to have any good ideas left to do. But I still like it. The fans like it.
Yeah, that's true. It is cool to see. And look, I'm the first one to be running to the parking lot, especially if it's like a done loss or whatever. But like if you've stayed near the end, I'll be like, you know what? We're hitting some traffic. I'm going to stay to see the storm surge. Like it is kind of cool that it holds people in place for a second to see the other. Obviously there's some people who stay all the time and see the 3 stars, but I feel like that keeps people around. But I'm kind of like you. It was they gave it a semi-retirement at one point because it was kind of a Justin Williams almost that bridge. The same reason he was here was the same reason the storm surge was here. Like we may not win it all. We're getting the fans back into this with our play, with being fun, with being different, with not caring about what anybody else says, but being Carolina hockey. And that was like the point of it, right? And it worked for that. But it's just hard. It's hard to put it to bed without it look like if you put it to bed, it looks like you're saying it's stupid and nobody's saying it was stupid. It's just it felt like it was the right time, and now it's not.
Yeah.
Any Moose, BG, storm surge opinions?
I mean, I look at the storm surge, and maybe Swain can agree with me on this. It's kind of like after an EPL game or even any major soccer game where the team will go around and clap their supporters. It's very close to that, but just slightly more organized. So it's definitely not a thing that somebody like Don Cherry can get mad about now because it's just a salute to the fans. As Swain said, I was really on board with it when it was planned and they were bringing out basketball goals and Duncan and Vander Holyfield was out there. Like that shit was awesome. Now it's kind of like, it's kind of lame, but it doesn't bother me. Like now it is what it is. So
I forgot they were still doing it until I saw this video last night. I had forgotten about it, honestly.
Yeah, they just do the clap. They really don't. I don't think there's every now and then there may be a like skate towards the glass and say hello or whatever. But it's
and I do like this year better than last year when it was like a salute to a front line like that.
Right. It was
that always just feels so forced. And nothing against front line. It's just it feels forced. And this year
I could have really gotten down with the circle last night if they just completely avoided the agitation and just circled Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
It just did this.
That would have been cool. Yeah, if they just kept
ignore the fighting. Like we're just going to get all around you.
I want a road game storm surge. That's what I want. Ooh. Just fully embrace. Like that would make people lose their minds if they did that on the road somewhere.
I'm trying to think. I wasn't at the Rangers game, but I caught from Kane's Twitter that Rangers fans were being extra.
They always are, man. They
really?
Yeah.
No, I guess I would. Penguins fans would make the more sense because they've at least had like success in the last decade or so, even if they're not great now. Rangers fans is just kind of like, don't you have to? I get that you're like a powerful fan base or whatever, but it's like. It'd be like if, Jets fans were taking over Bank of America Stadium. You'd be like, okay, I get that you're big about New York, but like it's the Jets. What are you getting chesty about?
Well, no, it's the whole thing about New Yorkers moving to North Carolina for a better life, and then loving to talk about how great the life was that they left.
Sure.
That's what it comes down to there. But no, that's one of the few games on the calendar that I'll look at and be like, I'm not going to that game. No chance
because of that.
Yeah.
All right, we will. We can continue to talk some other NCAA tournament topics if you want. We're going to transition over to the game show.
Can we throw in one thing about Max Domi real quick?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I meant to hit trade deadline.
Yeah. So Kane's made a move at the deadline. Kind of a weird move. Like, not a guy that's going to come in and be like a superstar, but definitely brings like the grit, right? Like the sandpaper that Maniscalco and Tripp always talk about. He brings that edge to the team. And he used to play with Kakaniemi up in Montreal, and they were really good together. So that might be a pairing that we'll see moving forward. But the deal was like they gave up nothing for him. They're only paying a quarter of his salary, so it's like, no risk move. But the dude, we talk about coaches winning the opening press conference. I know you didn't see the game last night, but if you watched the game, they interviewed him between the first and second periods. He crushed his introductory interview.
Okay.
He started off by saying that he was excited because, anytime you get traded to the best team in the league, you get excited. So he nailed that one. He talked about the fans and how they deserve more credit around the NHL because, every time that he came in here to play, the crowd was awesome, and he was excited to play against the best fans, or play in front of the best fans in the NHL. And then mentioned, I'm here to help the team win and do whatever I need to do to help the team win because I'm playing for the best coach in the NHL. And whatever he says, I'm ready to do. He hit every talking point in the interview and was really excited about it. And even throughout and we've seen this a couple of times with guys that the Canes have drafted about I grew up playing as the Hurricanes in video games.
Wow.
I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just I'm picking a non-traditional team to play in my franchise mode or whatever. But yeah, he said he used to play as the Hurricanes in video games. So he nailed his introductory interview.
The 06 title probably helped too. That's that's huge. We probably don't talk about this enough. We talked about the Hornets. When you're a pro sports team in North Carolina, you need. There might be the occasional professional athlete who loves golf. And so then he's like, oh, cool. That'd be a reason to go to North Carolina. But usually the reasons you go to other teams are like the legacy of that team, the market of the city, or possibly the other players on that team or coaches, right? We talked about, Cam Newton might be a reason that wide receivers or running backs would choose to come. LaMelo Ball is going to be a reason that Charlotte hasn't had before that guys choose to come.
Sam Darnold.
What's that?
Sam Darnold, yeah, he's
Stop it. But Linda Morris clearly seems to have that reputation and legacy of it's getting bonus points in your free agent / trade status of he is being considered a factor in the way that other cities have advantages in. So that's pretty cool to see. All right, he's been waiting in the green room with his ESPN hoodie on. Let's go ahead and bring in our good friend. Oh, let's get some sounders for him here too. I need to get an actual producer here. Our good friend from WSJS, Josh Graham. How's it going, Josh?
Hey, if ESPN's listening, I know a thing about, ACC basketball, ACC football. Steve Forbes, he knows who I am. We're kind of, just throwing it out there. ESPN,
Wait, what?
Graham, we are with you, but we don't pretend that people listen to our show. Nobody important listens to our show. We don't pretend like they do.
We're not out here claiming that somebody listens to our show to sound cool. We just, we're fine with whoever's on here. Do you have a special mic? You sound like you're in a recording studio or something. You look like you're, on a phone and it shouldn't be great. And all of a sudden you speak, and I feel like it's, I'm listening to a speaker at an outdoor venue or something. You've got an echo to you. What you got going on?
iPad Pro. Does it sound okay?
No, it sounds fine.
Great. Yeah.
Am I crazy that there's a slight, almost like a studio reverb? Is anybody else hearing that?
No.
Great acoustics in Josh's apartment or wherever he is right now, I guess.
Before we start the official show, I don't know.
We do need you to flip that iPad Pro horizontally, though. That's
You can go the other way on it.
Let me see.
It sounds like he's giving a
There
talk.
we go. There we
Better?
go.
He sounds like he's talking in front of the reflecting pool in Washington. Like that's what he sounds like.
Exactly where I was going, but then I didn't want to make. I was trying to come up. It sounds like Forrest Gump at the reflecting pool because I didn't want to say he sounds like Martin Luther King.
All right.
It's not an analogy I want to make. All right, Josh Graham, give us just a little. We might ask you some other questions, but how did you get into working in sports, my friend?
Well, I remember once upon a time I was broadcasting like high school basketball games in Wake Forest, North Carolina, Franklin Academy right outside Raleigh where you guys are at. And, it was really early internet, like streaming, like not many people were doing stuff like that. But in circa 2008, 2009, I broadcast every single like home basketball game for Franklin Academy High School and did that for a couple of years. And then I was the kind of guy who would go to Canes games and annoy Mike Maniscalco every single like game I went to. And it got to a point where he recognized me. He's like, well, what are you trying to do? Are you interested in this? And he took me into the locker room and I got to meet Chuck Caton and John Forsland. And those guys have been unbelievable to me. And this is before I even stepped foot on a college campus. And then I went to East Carolina, where I then got plugged in with you, Hayes, and interned with the David Glenn Show. Crazy to think a decade ago that happened. And just been grinding ever since then. In Colorado, I went to a town of 2,400, my first job out of school, did afternoon drive in Greenville for 2 years. And now we're the longest local running sports talk radio show in the history of the Triad, looking at 3.5 years now. It's just been really a blur to think that 10 years have elapsed, even longer than that, to go back to the high school days.
Longest local running show in the Triad. You got a few years to take on Darian Mel. They're the what was that? One Saturday morning we were listening. They're like the longest
running consecutive show, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And it was kind of crap because there's only like 3 shows a year where Darian Mel are both on it. Like it's basically just an avenue for like, all right, when Mel Kiper's not doing draft stuff, we got to keep employed year round.
So it's like Krzyzewskiville. So like not everybody has to be in the tent at the same time, but it counts.
Yes. It's a little bit of Darian Bell. As long as somebody's there to hold down the spot, they're counting it as it.
Also, it was only a weekend show. So it has literally 1/5 the number of like shows of like an actual Monday through Friday show too. So it's like, yeah, you may have been doing it for a decade, but yeah, you've done 20% of the shows of a weekday show that would have been running in the same exact time frame or whatever.
All right, and then any other question? I've got.
I have a huge question for Josh. Huge question. How are things? How's the mood in your household this morning after a crushing NIT defeat to St. Bonaventure last night?
Right.
See, that was tough. Sarah Bradford is my fiance. That's her first name, by the way. It's me and Perma are kind of aligned and having women with 2 first names as their first names.
Well, North Carolina, we know this phenomenon.
Yeah, we know the deal. But fortunately, there's a chance Kihei is going to come back to Virginia. So she's happy about that. He has a COVID year.
Is that fortunately? For the discourse I saw on Twitter last night, there were some UVA fans that aren't sure that that's a fortunate occurrence.
And there's a chance that Jaden Gardner might be back. He's easily me and Sarah Bradford are in agreement that Jaden Gardner is our favorite player on the Virginia Cavaliers.
And then a big game in the NIT tonight. What do you say? Who's done more in the media the last week? Buzz Williams doing his own research about NCAA bids, or Steve Forbes claiming the ACC needs more of a cheerleader in the national media?
Guy, hold on a second. It's a little hot in here. So, I don't want to pander at all. Not we're trying to do it here, but just getting ready for some NIT hoops. It is hot. Like, why wear a hoodie when it's like 70 degrees out? No, I don't know what the answer is, whether or not it's Forbes or Buzz Williams, but, big game tonight. Steve Forbes, once upon a time, coached at Texas A&M. It was his first high major job. Some dude named AC Law had just arrived on campus at College Station at the time that Forbes was there. If you can name a more a more exciting college basketball player in the 2000s that didn't pan out to be much in the pros than AC Law, I'd be willing to listen because I loved watching that guy.
It's a great name, is what it is. The AC Law is a great basketball name, which really helps a lot.
It's not what I was expecting for BG. I thought BG was going to say challenge accepted and drop 5 exciting.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, we could all do that. But I did like AC Law, so he had a cup of coffee in the NBA. So shout out AC Law and shout out Buzz Williams as he. And we talked about this already, but wonderful job auditioning to become the next CEO of My Pillow. That was really dope from him.
And I'd probably counter with Ty Lawson as an exciting player from the 2000s that didn't pan out to anything.
I knew it. Like I was going to predict which UNC player Swain was going to plug in.
I was having a hard time picking. Graham, I don't want to do inside basketball with you, but you are tight with Steve Forbes. Like, let's just go and throw that out there. You are. If there's like a media, like you are DeCourcy to UCLA basketball, basically. Like if you were Sporting News, Steve Forbes would be the coach of the year every year. Does Steve Forbes have a scouting report on Rutgers just in case Texas A&M doesn't show up to the game?
I don't know if he does, but don't forget, Swain, didn't I get a ton of heat for saying that Coach K should win Coach of the Year? Yeah.
Oh, you did? Yeah, you got crushed.
That's the funniest thing. Like, oh, you clearly are a Wake guy. And then the moment I say something that Wake fans don't like, clearly you're a Duke guy. And Carolina fans, like, we told you all along that's who Graham rooted for. Even though when I was at Eastern North Carolina, people hate Carolina more than anything over there if you're a Pirate fan. So when they listen to my show, oh, clearly this guy, he just loves the Tar Heels, you know.
Is that true? Because that's not the perception at all here. Is that you're an ECU football fan and a UNC basketball fan? Is that not true?
Nah, he's a Wake fan. Graham carries. You know how people. I mean, I don't even know if people do this anymore. But like in the 70s and growing up for me, the traditional thing was for parents to carry pictures of their kids in their wallet. You know, and anytime somebody like, oh, yeah, you got a kid. Oh, you want to see him? Graham carries his. Like predictions that go against what your perceptions of might be in his wallet. So if you're like, oh, you're a UNC fan, he's like, oh no, look, I picked him to finish 7th in the preseason. Like he's got his justification for why he's not a something fan every time.
As the kids say, I keep the receipts.
Yeah, you keep your own receipts. I do have a question. I think we can ask you this because we're friends. We like you, we support you, Josh Graham, right? But like some of your biggest moments are, in press conferences and interviews. You've had Roy Williams, a little annoyed at you. You've had Cam Newton asking you to repeat a question. You've gotten under the skin of Matt Jones and Big Blue Nation. Like, obviously you enjoy your job and you love what you do. You talked about your goal in high school is you're basically living out your dream in some ways, right? Especially if you're doing it locally. But like when you go into those moments, are you trying to create a moment? Are you at all embarrassed when Charles Barkley calls you an idiot, or are you just like, this is my job, I'm rolling with things, and I'm stirring up conversation, and that's what a good sports radio host does?
It's interesting. It's a really good question. When it's people just getting mad on Twitter, that doesn't bother me at all. That's not real. You guys have probably even experienced it. People will say mean things about you, and then when you see them in person, every single time they're asking for a picture or asking for you to look at their fantasy team or their bracket or something of that sort. So I don't pay that much of attention. So the Kentucky thing didn't bother me that much at all. When it came to like people that you respect, and when you work in the media and you get to interact with such great figures like a Roy Williams or a Mike Krzyzewski or a Cam Newton, there is an element of respect there. And I think there's a distinction between, hey, we're fanboying here. We're fans of the guys that we cover versus we have profound respect for it because we love sports so much and we cover it. So you never really want to get under the skin of people, but I've never had an issue asking questions that I felt were fair or that the audience that I talked to would care to know. So if we go back to the Roy example, I remember I was sitting there and Roy came into the press conference. It was a Zoom situation and he was really fired up. And usually when Roy comes out, there's like 6 or 7, maybe even a dozen people raising their hands to ask questions. But after Roy shot down the first one, there was maybe 1 hand up. And all I'm seeing on my Twitter feed on TweetDeck next to it are a bunch of fans wondering, well, why the heck did we schedule this game? Why did it make sense for us to schedule Marquette?
So they could get Dawson Garcia to transfer.
Boom. See, this guy, that really makes you think. So all I could think was, well, this is a question that fans want the answer to. So I threw fans into the question. That was regrettable. And those are the things that bother me after the fact. If you word something a way that you don't like, and then adding a clause of considering the result gave Roy the out to say, well, if I knew we were going to win, why not just schedule the Lakers? So Roy left the press conference. And because it was Zoom, there's a clunkiness to it where Roy thought it was the last question and none of us really heard it. And if we were in the room and he misunderstood what I was asking, well, we could just clarify that point and no one ever talks about that again. But since it's Zoom and Roy leaves and it looked a certain way, it blows up and Charles Barkley's calling me an idiot on TV. So to answer your question, I felt like I could do my job better, then that's the stuff that really bothers me. And that's an instance where it did make me uncomfortable, but you still kind of steer into the skid because Charles Barkley's talking about you on TNT. Sure. But, the other stuff, if fans are getting mad at something I say, and it's something I believe, and I'm not the guy who says things out loud that I just don't believe, like some do, it seems, on national TV, well, I could take that heat 10 times out of 10 every day.
All right. Good answer from Josh Graham. Keep getting out there. Zoom is probably like the Zoom press conference. You were one of the biggest benefactors of it, right? You're sitting in Winston-Salem, and you might go to a Panthers press conference if you could. You might come to a Duke or UNC press conference if you could. But now all of a sudden, they were just fired up right there for you. You could jump from the Panthers to the Canes to Wake Forest to NC State to whatever. So I thought you did good work there.
And using the stuff. So that's the other thing. There are people that go on these press conferences and ask questions just to ask questions. No. I use the stuff on the show, and you have to be forward thinking when you're at these games. Well, what are some of the things we're going to be talking about? What are some topics? Ask a question and then use that stuff because that's what makes the show even better, I think.
Josh Graham, the longest running local sports show. Well, I was also wondering this. If you're trying to think, if you're saying you're the longest running just in Winston-Salem, right?
The Triad. So Winston-Salem Green Sports Show.
But technically, I'm trying to think of the guys in Charlotte. Like Kyle Bailey was afternoons, and then he wasn't, and then he's back, right?
Yeah. I don't think anyone's touching the guys in the morning over there. I mean, they've been on for about 15, 16, 17 years. The Mac Attack, those guys get after it.
Okay, I was gonna say, and then in the Triangle, I mean, there's not many shows that are more than a couple years old because they reshuffled there. So I was trying to see if you were just the longest running local show anywhere in North Carolina right now.
I'm not. This is according to David Glenn's metrics. If David Glenn says that's the case, then I believe him.
I mean, I think the Sports Shop is going on 30 years now.
Ooh, Sports Shop.
That's the answer.
Yes, Sports Shop has been going on for a while. All right. Let's start this thing. We may or may not. Oh, wait a minute. Just in time to start the game show. It's a double Josh Wednesday here on Sports Channel 8, the radio show.
Eastern North Carolina, stand up.
Straight from the Movement Mortgage offices where he is crushing some more mortgages. It is our bald banker, Josh Goodson. I needed you earlier in the show. We were talking about hair and everyone else had some, and I needed you to use it. But
sorry I'm late. I was watching the Today Show and The View, and they were both talking about officiating in the NCAA tournament. It was unbelievable. It's unbelievable how officiating is just taking over the national story. Russia and Ukraine and COVID gone. Supreme Court hearing, don't care. We're only talking about UNC and referees in college athletics. It's insane.
Do you still have a 252 area code?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So a third of this chat now has a 252 area code.
Whoopi Goldberg had to chime in. You need to hear what Megan McCain thought about the officiating.
The View people have sneakers with MM on them and on the side of them.
Do contact Goodson for your Movement Mortgage. He might sometimes show up late for the show, but he's never late for saving you money. That's actually usually if he's late for the show, it's because he's out making somebody some money. Hit him up. get your mortgage done with Moving Mortgage. Let's start the music, and then Swain, take us through the game show.
Graham, have you done this before?
I've never played. I'm so excited. I'm a big fan of the Moose, and I've never met the Moose before.
You're good.
Yeah.
I trust the Moose. I just never met the Moose. I met all you guys.
You don't want to meet the Moose. But you can't trust the Moose in the Sports Channel 8 video game. We're back on video games.
Ooh.
Game show. Oh, we should do that.
That's the future.
That's the future of Sports Channel 8 right there. Sports Channel 8, the video game.
Can I play with Goodson? It'll be like Max Domi playing with the Canes. And it's like, I don't know why, but I'm playing with Goodson. I'm going to start with all the money.
You guys have 2 questions each?
Yeah.
Okay. So good. So Graham, you are going to pick between BG, Goodson, and Permar. They will each have 2 questions for you to answer to earn clues towards the final round, which is going to be you guessing a local sports celebrity figure. Definitely has North Carolina ties. Could be sports, could be pop culture, could be a variety of things. But you earn clues by getting questions right during this round. If you get stumped, you can trust the Moose and let him answer for you, and then you choose to agree or disagree with his answer, and you get the point right if you pick the right one. So where do you want to begin on the board? The board is wide open. You got Permar, Goodson, and BG over there.
ENC Highways. That's exactly where I'm going to start, even though it seems like we got a couple of Wake Forest themed things here with Permar and BG. We'll start with ENC Highway.
BG, I see that your hashtag is Geek Pros, that you do have 2 questions, right?
Goodson is definitely making up his questions on the fly.
I mean, you know, Wake and Duke had as many All-Stars in the NBA this season. They each had one each. So
solid response.
All right, in this day and age where we have to change the name of institutions and everything else in the world, we also need to change highway numbers for some reason. This highway actually connects Raleigh to Greenville and is now Interstate 87. What was its former highway number?
Don't tell me they changed 64 to 87.
They're trying to.
Oh, yeah.
They're trying to.
You don't know about this?
No.
Dude.
It's unbelievable.
It's the worst.
It's so bad.
It's the most
canceling
popular
64?
ECU t-shirt, the one that says on the back, "Oh, the greatest thing to come from Raleigh," and it's a sign that says Interstate 64. So everybody's going to have outdated t-shirts.
64 is correct. No, it's a travesty what's going on down here.
Why are we trying to cancel 64?
The DOT has become woke.
64 used to run a plantation. There used to be many plantations along 64. So
that is my favorite drive, though, in North Carolina. I love driving from Raleigh to 64 just because it's it's very green and it's very straight on. You
also see the big baseball in the distance around the Zebulon area.
That's right.
Great.
Skirt Wilson, stay on 64, hit Greenville.
Yeah, 64's got to delete those old tweets out of these things, right? All right, where we going, Graham?
Okay, I'm gonna go.
You have 1 point so far.
Yes, I'm gonna go Deke Pros.
All right, we're focusing on Wake Forest in the NBA. 3 former Wake Forest players have gone on to score 10,000 or more points in their NBA careers. 2 of them are really obvious. Name the 3 Wake Forest players to score at least 10,000 points in the NBA.
Okay, the 2 obvious ones are Duncan and Chris Paul.
That's correct.
Gosh, I wonder how recent this is because if you think about it, I'm debating between Teague and Howard. I'll go Josh Howard.
Unfortunately, you were in the neighborhood, but you got it wrong. It was Jeff Teague, who has like 10,000 and like 2 points in his NBA career. Josh Howard came along like he was like There are a lot of guys where you're like, man, they were just like a decade too early. He would have been awesome in the modern NBA and would have just like shot more threes and would have scored more points. But fortunately, he did not get over 10,000 points for his career.
We talked about AC Law. Josh Howard's highlight tape is a really fun watch if you want a good time on YouTube.
I was at all of those games.
Only averaged surprisingly 3 points a game, but playing for 35 seasons for a total of 17 different teams, he managed to get to 10,000.
Hey man, Jeff Teague, all-star. Put some respect on his name.
Kudos to him, dude. That guy's like he hasn't just hung around the league. Like every time he's on a team, you're like, man, what? This guy's a starter somewhere. He's like the best backup point guard in the past.
He's got a championship ring too, thanks to Giannis as well. So Jeff Teague, Hall of Fame career.
Okay, Wake Forest trivia. Let's see if I can bounce back on the Wake Forest train.
All right, this is a tricky one, but also this is Wake Forest trivia, both the town and the college. We'll start here. Wake Forest. Let's start with this question. Wake Forest was originally known as Wake Forest Manual Labor Institute because students and staff were required to spend half their day working on Wake's plantation. When they moved to Winston-Salem, they dropped the work requirement and instead forced students and staff to watch Wake football and basketball, a joke that was a lot funnier before this season. What was the first year that the school was fully in Winston for undergrad and grad school for a fall semester? Like basically, what year did they open their fall semester as Wake Forest University, 100% totally in Winston-Salem?
Do I get like a wiggle room of 1 year?
No, but you can trust the moose, and therefore you take it down.
I think I know it. I do. I'm going to say 47.
Should have asked the moose. You should have trusted the moose.
Sorry.
The move began in 46. Like the medical school went in 46, and there may have been some stuff in 47. BG, Winston-Salem guy, you looked like you knew it.
I thought it was later. I was way off. So no, I was thinking it was like late 50s, but no.
56 is the year that they marked.
56.
Yeah, yes. I knew it. I was going to say 57 was my guess, but
I may be wrong on this one, but I think that Wake Forest baseball went to the College World Series.
1955.
Yes, that's what I think. It was always like the last thing that happened at Wake Forest in Wake Forest, and then after that, it's all.
You know what? I think I got mixed up. I think that's when Arnold Palmer retired, or Arnold Palmer graduated from Wake Forest.
47.
That's probably what I did.
All right, you can still go play Pascal Golf Course.
Yes.
It is amazing that like Wake went to the Final Four for the first time in 1962.
Whoa! Why were you just giving away trivia answers?
Oh,
it was a backup, but I did have it in consideration.
I just think it's just like the joke I was going to make was that was like 5 years after the campus moved to Wake, and they've yet to go back to the Final Four since then, despite having Tim Duncan and Chris Paul come play there. Incredible.
It's because they sold their souls and went to the Final Four with Billy.
Yeah, Chris Paul does have that long history of winning championships. So.
I need to get a Wake Forest question right.
Can we please beg Wake Forest? Can we please beg Wake Forest to ditch the plantation? Like you mentioned the way Wakefield plantation. Just come on, man. Like
everybody needs to. I was reading.
It sounded like that the way they named the school, they were like the first concentration camp that was available. Manual Labor Center or whatever they were.
Manual Labor Institute. Yes.
God.
The new school, designed to teach both Baptist ministers and laymen, opened on February 3rd, 1834. Students and staff, as Wake Forest Manual Labor Institute, students and staff were required to spend half the day doing manual labor.
It's raining outside. Plantations are making an appearance on the show. Concentration camps.
You're 1
for 3. You're 1 for 3. And
what's next? Are you going to bring up Kentucky basketball?
Possibly. All right, where are you going?
All right. I need to get a Wake question right. I'm going to go deep pros again.
All right. Well, it's funny you brought up Kentucky. Former Wake Forest and Kentucky Star center Olivier Sarr now plays in the NBA.
Or as Matt Jones pronounces his name, Oliver Sarr.
Yeah, there's He's from France, so not how it's said. Okay. He's played 15 games in the NBA for one team this season, including 2 starts. Who does Olivier Sarr play for in the NBA?
This was news to me. I'm going to trust the Moose on this one.
Oklahoma City. Come on, baby.
Go Thunder. That's it.
The Moose is correct. Yes.
Let's go, Moose. Let's go.
When the Hornets played the Thunder last week, Olivier Sarr was starting at center for an NBA team. It's just really like they would like to have Paolo Banchero come play basketball for them next season, which is why Olivier Sarr is starting at center for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Currently.
Why would you spend 3 years getting a degree at a place like Wake Forest just to start at center for the Oklahoma City Thunder?
Well, also, has Banchero announced that he's going pro?
Yeah, sorry. Breaking news, everybody.
Sure, VG.
Yeah.
Good news.
Sorry.
All right, you got 2 points, I think.
How many times do I get to trust the Moose?
You got one. You got one more time.
Okay.
You got one more time.
ENC Highways.
All right. This highway, Highway 11, connects a lot of great places in the state of North Carolina. It goes from Pink Hill to Deep Run to Kinston, all the way to Greenville. It's a north-south highway. Right before you would get to Greenville, you will pass 2 different establishments. One is a 1A public high school. The other is a large soda plant. What are those?
The 1A high school is the one I'm going to be hung up on. Do you know this, Moose?
I think I know the high school. I
don't know the high school, but I know it's Pepsi, the Pepsi plant you're going to pass, but I'll trust the Moose to get the high
he's
school.
got one half of it. The Minges Bottling Group, the namesake of Minges Coliseum, is going to be on your left. And then the high school, I guess you can ask Moose for half a help on this one.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the high school, I think, because I've gone past this several times, I think it's Aiden Grifton.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, the Chargers.
That is correct. It is Aiden Grifton and the Minges Bottling Group Pepsi plant. We're going to be right on Highway 11 between Kinston and Greenville before you make your way into Greenville.
Get yourself some Skylight in, then roll over. Maybe get I forget what the name of that little farm they have there is that you could get some chocolate milk and ice cream from, but that's a good spot. That's a good day.
Next week, Goods is just going to be driving his car. And what am I driving by? What was that? What was that? That's my trivia question.
All right. So I got 3 right. I got to go to Wake Forest trivia. Permar, what you got for me?
You don't need the Moose for this one because it's basically a 50-50 question anyway. So the Moose wouldn't make this one any easier. Question is simple. Which number is greater? The total number of living Wake Forest alumni. I talked to someone at the Wake Forest Alumni Association today to verify this number. Or the number of people who live in Wake Forest, the town. What's bigger? More living Wake alum or the town of Wake Forest?
Do they like to be called the town of Wake Forest or the city of Wake Forest?
They're not a city. I'm not calling them a city. They're a town.
If you did happy Wake Forest alum, we would know the answer is the town of Wake Forest.
I'm going to go with the town of Wake Forest.
I'm reading from Wikipedia. Wake Forest is a town in Franklin, Granville, and Wake. Okay, so I'm not trying to slight your home city there, but it's a town. All right.
Okay.
And you said Wake Forest, the town?
Yeah.
That is incorrect. Based on census data for 2020, Wake Forest, the town, has 50,000 people in it. I had the exact number.
That seems woefully low, but
I was going to say it's smaller than Greenville, America.
Yeah.
What, you thought Wake Forest was that big?
Yeah.
As someone who frequently drives in Wake Forest to the hockey rink, there are 50,000 cars on Main Street.
That's just
about 6 stoplights right before that bypass near the ale house there.
The Heritage neighborhood has 50,000 people in it by itself.
Yeah.
The estimate from Wikipedia for 2019 was 45,000. I saw another one that estimated it now at 50,000. Total living Wake alum, 70,000. There are more living Wake love than there are people in the town of Wake Forest. I love you guys. Half of Wake Forest is like Falls Lake, right? Like or Jordan.
Yeah.
It's all land and space up there. There's not that many people.
You get the Neuse River. People hiking around up there. Just wait till real estate prices in Raleigh continue to go up and price people further and further out of the city. Then, like, we're 10 years away from the Wake Forest population, like, doubling over, basically.
I'm going to drown my sorrows in Shorty's hot dogs and White Street Brewery drinks. That's what I'm going to do.
So that's it. That closes out. It closes it out. We got 3 clues. 3 clues. That's not very good, man. That's not very good. Let's be honest here.
I know.
So, you can choose anyone to give you clues. You can guess after each clue, right? Like it's not like you have to get all 3 and then guess. You can guess after each clue, but after the 3rd one, we do need a final answer.
I'm going to test myself. I'm not going to go Permar last, so he gives me like the answer easily.
Thank you. Thank you.
Permar give me the first one.
Parmar's like Wake's non-conference strength of schedule this year. It's the worst in the country, and he gives the worst and the easiest clues ever made possible.
Right. I want this to be a challenge.
All right. I'm God, now I'm trying not to give it away. I'll go.
The first clue, I don't think you would.
Yeah. That's
Say that.
Have you seen this show before?
Yeah.
I'll go. Goldsboro.
Montrezl Harrell?
That's Tarboro.
No.
Whoa! I thought Todd Gurley was Tarboro and
Montrezl and
Goldsboro.
Montrezl and Tarboro are both from Tarboro.
Both from Tarboro.
Regardless, that's not who it is. Goldsboro. It's the clue. Who you want next?
I'm gonna have Goodson give me the second clue.
ECU.
Goldsboro, ECU. Gosh, this seems obvious. How many Goldsboro ECU connects do you think there are?
Now, but just not people that not like a lot of like well-known,
noteworthy people.
Yeah. No offense. From ECU.
A lot of second-string D linemen come from.
Cutting an NFL training camp.
There are
a lot of people at Sup Dogs.
Yeah.
But we just don't know their names.
Yeah.
Ruff was Lumberton. Who's from Goldsboro? ECU.
I think if you smack your face harder, it might come to you.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm gonna guess Eastern North Carolina. I got nothing on the second guess, so I'm gonna go to a third person.
4 clues, and I bet you get this one. 3, it'll be interesting.
Well, the first clue is terrible. Like our job is to get him to guess who it is.
So now I go from being too easy to now I'm not helpful at all. I can't win. All right.
I'll go Swain. Sorry, BG. I'll go Swain here.
Swain, you got to do the next leg. I think.
I know exactly the clue that Swain is going to use too. Like I can see it in my head.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm trying to figure out how to do it in one clue. I'll just say I'll say Wake Forest or Deeks.
Yes, that's the clue I wanted you to guess.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to go next level and go Coach of the Year because I figured he probably wasn't. So.
Yeah.
I think I know this.
Yeah.
Is it Dave Odom?
That's good.
It is Dave Odom. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Who was a recent guest on Josh's radio show, by the way. So it's good that he got that one. Swain, I thought you were going to go with Guilford College.
Well, I still debate that he's not affiliated with ECU at all. He's a Guilford College guy.
Dave Odom told me that he offered Roy Williams his first coaching job, and Roy turned it down, thinking, you know what? I think there's a chance I could be on staff at Carolina in the next year or so. So when he was selling all those stuff out of his car, Dave Odom offered him a job at ECU.
he saw Dave Odom drinking a Pepsi, and he said, "I'll never work for this man."
Well, he also saw there was no AFM department where Dave Odom was at that time, so it was.
And I'm disappointed we didn't get it during a Dave Odom trivia. We didn't get it mentioned. I was going to use the clue NIT as Wake is, perhaps heading to. If they can beat Buzz Williams and his packets of research, they can head to Madison Square Garden, the site of Wake Forest winning the 2000 NIT. Isn't it amazing that Wake beat Notre Dame in the 2000 NIT title game, which is the last game Notre Dame played basketball in when Mike Brey wasn't like the men's basketball head coach. That was Matt Doherty's last game.
And Carolina surprisingly made the Final Four that year. So
yeah.
A
little bit of symmetry going on. And also Maui would have been a fun clue.
I would have wondered if Maui was a clue if you would have gotten that. Because is that the best job in sports?
It has to be.
Chairman of the Maui Invitational. Like, you know who half your field is. It's a rotating schedule of like the years that UNC plays, the year the Duke plays, the year Kentucky plays. Chaminade's in. Then you got everybody wants to play in your tournament because it's high profile and it's Hawaii. Then they pay you to come out there like 4 times a year and like site eval or meet and greet, and your tournament's in freaking Hawaii.
Although it hasn't been there since 2019, though.
True.
It was Maui 2 seasons ago, and then this past year it was they had it somewhere. Notre Dame played in it, but it was not in Maui. It was somewhere else.
Asheville.
Was it in Nashville?
No, that was in 2000. It was in 2020. It was in Asheville. But this past
I think they maybe had it in Vegas or in Florida.
I think it was Vegas. I think it was Vegas this past year.
But does Dave Odom have a Deacon Dega T-shirt? That's the question. Him on a chopper.
Wake fans are pumped about tonight. They are pumped for some NIT action tonight. It's kind of funny to watch.
Yeah, we got B-Dot. We have B-Dot coming in on the show, and Wake fans hate him because he just comes in and he's like, I'll sponsor Wake fans. I'll pay $15 for your lower bowl ticket. You just let me know. Get in there while we're playing in the real tournament. B-Dot.
Forbes came in spiking the mask in his introductory video, and you knew then that at the very least he was going to be interesting, and he just lived up to that promise. So.
Is he the coach in the ACC you'd most like to have a beer with, or is it Bray?
For me, it's Bray.
Yeah.
I think Bray's more. I mean, we've kicked with Bray, and he's just a little more now. Like Forbes, as much as I like whatever he's doing, you get the sense that, and he seems like he's probably a pretty cool dude to hang out with, whatever. But like, I think Bray, everything is being totally natural. There's a little bit of Forbes. It's like, all right, let me play coach trying to stir some stuff up, guy or whatever. Whereas I think Bray is really just being Bray at all times.
I think if it's hard liquor, it's probably Bray. If you're drinking beer, it's probably Forbes.
It could be.
Is Tony Bennett last on the list?
No, I was saying
Hasner.
Tony Bennett and Coach K would be first on like the ACC coach that you would have a glass of wine with. I feel like.
Yeah.
Hasner's a happy drunk, and you know it.
Yeah, Pastor is actually fun to hang out with. Every time he sat down with us, we asked him if he should get a trophy for being the Russell Athletic Champion the year they were still wearing Russell. And he's like, yes, absolutely. But like he was totally down. He was not, put off by our antics, and he at least looks like he gets it.
I will say Josh Pastner is the runaway, the overall number 1 seed for ACC coach you most want to get a voicemail from. That's definitely that's unquestionable.
Not Hubert.
Pastner more than any other coach. I think when you ask other coaches like what they want to do, it's like win, build, shape men, whatever. I think Pastner's like, I want to coach, just in case they say that coaches can play again. Like Pastner's there because he hopes that he can be a player again. Like
I mean, to your point, he's like the coach that is like. There's no coach in the ACC that like takes more chances getting like out on the actual court during the game. Like I was at the Duke Georgia Tech game this year, and like didn't Kay get mad at him during that game because it was like there's multiple exchanges where like Keats is up there in this regard too, but like both those guys will like really flirt with like it's like dude, you're like closer to the 3-point line than you are to like the sideline right now. Like
Keats is just getting farther away from his athletic director, though.
They're in the spot of the court we like to call the Kim Mulkey. It's like that's where she parades. And Pastor's like, I want that real. All right, within an hour, people I'm told don't like to listen for an hour, but there are more people on this broadcast than started it. So Josh Graham must have brought him here. He's got an audience. We appreciate you joining us. We hope you'll be a future guest on Sports Channel 8, the game show. And as always, keep up the great work in the Triad. You can listen to him on WSJS. There's like 17 different stations throughout the Triad City. So I'll let him tick them off, but tick off by Reed, not make them. But yeah, follow Josh Graham on Twitter, and you can find out where to listen to the stream. That's the easiest way to do it if you're not in the Triad. Anything else? All right, for Josh Goodson, the Weather Moose, Brian Geisinger, and Ben Swain. Josh Graham, thanks so much for joining us. Sports Channel 8, we out.